Years earlier, in the small village of Umokoro, a boy named Chinedu lived with his loving parents. His father was a humble farmer. His mother sold vegetables in the village market. They were poor, but their home was filled with laughter. Every night his mother told him stories. One night she held his hand and said something he would never forget. "Mother, Chinedu, kindness is the richest treasure a person can have." The boy smiled. He didn't know those words would soon become his destiny, because only weeks later, a terrible sickness swept through the village, and within days, both of Chinedu's parents were gone. At only 8 years old, Chinedu stood alone beside 2 fresh graves. Villagers watched quietly. Some felt pity, but no one took him in. He became the village orphan. He slept inside an abandoned hut, worked small jobs in the market, carried heavy loads. Yet some villagers still mocked him, but Chinedu never lost his gentle spirit. One evening, Chinedu walked along the dusty road. He saw a man collapsed beside the path. Travelers passed him. No one stopped. But Chinedu knelt down. The man was burning with fever. Without hesitation, Chinedu lifted the stranger onto his back and carried him home. For 3 days and 3 nights, Chinedu cared for the stranger. He gave him his last food, boiled herbs, stayed awake to keep him alive. On the 4th morning, the stranger finally spoke. The man studied the boy carefully. Then he removed a royal bracelet. He handed it to Chinedu. "Stranger, if you ever come to the kingdom of Obiora, show them this." Chinedu nodded politely, but he had no idea. He had just saved King Obinna himself. Years passed. Chinedu grew into a hard-working young man, but life remained harsh. One day he decided to leave the village. He packed a small bag and began walking toward the kingdom of Obiora. When Chinedu arrived at the palace, the guards laughed at him until he showed them the bracelet. Their faces turned pale. They rushed him inside. King Obinna saw him and immediately stood up from his throne. "King Obinna, the boy who saved my life." The palace gasped. From that day, Chinedu lived in the palace. The king educated him, trained him, and treated him like a son. But not everyone was happy. Prince Namdi, the king's nephew, grew jealous. He believed the throne belonged to him, and he began plotting. One night, the king collapsed after drinking wine. Poison. The palace panicked, and Prince Namdi secretly accused Chinedu. The orphan was thrown into prison. A palace maid revealed the truth. She had seen Prince Namdi poison the drink. The guards arrested him. The king survived, and Chinedu was freed. In a grand ceremony, the king made his final decision. Before the entire kingdom, he said, "King Obinna, wealth does not make a man worthy, kindness does." Then he placed the royal beads around Chinedu's neck. The orphan who once slept in the streets had become the heir to the king's fortune, and the people cheered, because sometimes the poorest child has the richest heart. If you were Chinedu, would you help a stranger even if you had nothing? Tell us your answer in the comment section. If this story touched your heart, like this video, share it with someone who needs hope. Subscribe to Legendary African Tales because the next story might change your life.